In the heart of country music's timeless tradition, where stories are woven into the very fabric of our souls. Gather round the table for a journey into the heart of the songs, the singers, and the stories that define our world. Welcome to Season 2 of Stories Round the Table with Hudson and Joni. Bringing you these unforgettable conversations, Hudson James, executive producer, co-host, and singer-songwriter.
Hi, I'm Hudson James, and I'm incredibly passionate about sharing these stories with you. Season 2 delves deeper into the world of country music, revealing untold experiences and invaluable information. Grab a seat and your favorite beverage, and let's all enjoy the show together.
And I'm Joni. Hudson and I are very excited about Season 2. We're going to introduce you to some wonderful new guests who will share their story about where they came from, how they got their start, and what inspired them to follow this incredible journey in country music.
Joni Harms, executive producer, co-host, and singer-songwriter, a true icon of Western music. Her impact on the genre is undeniable. She's not just a singer, she's a storyteller, a keeper of the Western spirit. Her contributions have been recognized by the most prestigious organizations in Western music. The International Western Music Association has honored her repeatedly. In 2003, she received both Female Vocalist of the Year and Song of the Year, culminating in her induction into the IWMA Hall of Fame in 2020. More recently, in 2022, she was awarded the Team Penning Co-Write Songwriting Contest Award. The Academy of Western Artists also recognized her exceptional talent, including naming her Entertainer of the Year in 2002. Jimmy Murphy, executive producer and music manager. Vernell Hackett, public relations director and journalist. In the heart of Nashville's vibrant music scene, she's a fixture, chronicling its history and shaping its narrative. Her byline appears in respected publications, including American Songwriter, and she has contributed to major news outlets like Reuters. From covering the CMA Awards to in-depth artist interviews, she's a respected voice, capturing the essence of the music, the stories behind the songs.
Hello, listeners. This is Vernell Hackett, your Public Relations Director. We've got a fantastic lineup of guests this season, and we can't wait for you to experience these authentic conversations. Get ready to pull up a chair.
Jonathan Svoboda, social media executive. And Brett C. Burks, producer and singer-songwriter. Join Hudson and Joni as they sit down with the legends and the rising stars, sharing the tales behind the tunes, the laughter, and the tears that shape the soul of country music. Produced by the Story Weaver Studio.
Today, on Stories Round the Table with Hudson and Joni, we welcome a true legend of Americana and outlaw country. Ray Wylie Hubbard is more than a songwriter, he's a renegade poet and a roadhouse saint, weaving raw truths into songs that cut straight to the soul. Born in Soper, Oklahoma, and forged in the folk and country scenes of Texas and New Mexico, his music has become the secret handshake among those who truly know. With 16 albums built on authenticity rather than industry rules, Hubbard's sound has traveled far and wide, from the smoky bars of Texas to the tour buses of bands like Blackberry Smoke and the Georgia Satellites. His song, Snake Farm Alone, has become an anthem for those who live life with grit under their nails. He's the go-to songwriter for icons like Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Lucinda Williams, and Hayes Carll. And when he released Co-Starring, his first high-profile label record, an eclectic mix of music greats, including Ringo Starr, Joe Walsh, Ronnie Dunn, Pam Tillis, and the Black Crowes' Chris Robinson, lined up to collaborate. Inducted into the Texas Heritage Songwriters Hall of Fame and revered by peers across genres, Ray Wylie Hubbard continues to blaze his own trail, writing about the way outlaws live, love, and survive. So pull up a chair and settle in, because today, we go deep into the stories and songs of a man who embodies the very spirit of outlaw country. This is Ray Wylie Hubbard.
Well, hey, we want to welcome you to Stories Around the Table with Hudson and Joni. It's a great pleasure to have someone like you on our show. And I'm sure you're extremely busy, and we truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on the show.
Oh, well, thank you. Like I say, Vernell she set this up and she's just great. I'd do anything in the world for her. She's been really, really good to me.
Isn't she a gem? She's just amazing.
She's just brilliant. Just,
She's good to a lot of people, Ray. And my name's Joni, and I'm happy to have you on the show as well. And I just want you to know that Hudson and I want to really make this interview about you and whatever you want to talk about and whatever you would like to share with our listeners, because everybody's really excited to have you on. And so, please, we'll ask some questions, but you lead and you tell us what you want everybody to know about what's going on in your life these days.
Well, what got you into music in general?
Okay. Well, I got involved in music in high school. I went to high school in Oak Cliff, Texas, just part of near Dallas suburb. And I went to high school. And when I was a sophomore, Michael Murphy, who is Michael Martin Murphy now, he was a senior. And he came out at this talent show at the school and said, "Here's a song that I wrote." And all of a sudden, this light went off like, that's a songwriter. That's the guy whose name is in parentheses underneath the songs on these 45s. And it was just like, and so I just had to get a guitar. And of course the folk craze was going on right then with Keystone Trio and Peter, Paul and Mary. And you discover those guys. Then through them, you discover Woody Guthrie and Bob Dylan, Cisco Houston. And I got into the folk scene in high school, and that was kind of the thing that kind of started it all.
Wow, that's awesome. So did you and Michael Martin Murphy get to be buddies, or did you have to write together?
Well, he was a senior and I was a sophomore, and behind me was a fellow by the name of B.W. Stevenson, who had Shambhala and My Maria. And behind that guy was a guy named Larry Gross, who hosts Mountain Stage for a long period of time on NPR. So it was a real musical, just very musical. We had a horrible football team, but we had some great assemblies, And
playing music, I bet you. Yeah.
So you were doing this way before Brooks and Dunn came out with My Maria.
Oh yeah. This was B.W. was a great singer. That would be about in the early '70s when he did My Maria and Shambhala that Three Dog Night covered. And B.W. and I, when I joined a little folk group and ended up in Red River, New Mexico, and it was just kind of the stopping off point for Jerry Jeff Walker and Murphy and a band called Fromux with Steve Fromholtz, a great writer, and B.W. would come up there. And so I guess B.W. did, in the early 70s, did My Maria, or in mid-70s, somewhere around there.
You bring up Murphy quite a bit. We interviewed his son, Ryan Murphy, not too long ago.
Yeah, and I still see Murphy. We played up in Red River, New Mexico. He had a West Fest festival, and saw him up in Red River, and he had me play his festival. So we still stay in touch, But back in those days, he was, he's doing kind of cowboy stuff now, but back then he was just doing kind of folk rock stuff, Geronimo's Cadillac, Wildfire, all those songs. And so he was a great influence on me starting to try to write songs.
Well, so you said you got your guitar and you heard these guys in high school, and then did you move to Nashville, or did you start right there?
I moved to Red River, New Mexico, right out of high school. I was in this little folk group with Rick Fowler and Wayne Kidd, and we went up right out of high school. We got on a bus and went to Red River, New Mexico, and we played at this barbecue joint at night. And then that next summer, I guess I was 19, Rick Fowler and we got in my car and we left for Colorado, and we would go to like Breckenridge or, Grand Junction, and we would get about 6 o'clock. We would find a restaurant or a cafe, and Rick would strap on a banjo and I would put on a guitar, and we would walk into these restaurants playing Foggy Mountain Breakdown. And then all of a sudden, Rick would stop and he would go, "I'm Rick, this is Ray, we're the Self-Righteous Brothers." And we just wondered if that's still a good name for a band.
It
And,
is. So were you even booked there, or you just did that, just going in without the booking or anything?
oh, we just walked into these places and down, played Foggy Mountain. I'm Rick, this Ray. We're the Self-Righteous Brothers. Wonder if we could play a few songs and maybe someone will feed us and give us a place to stay tonight. So we did that all through the summer.
Oh,
And,
goodness.
and everybody, a couple of times we slept in a laundromat. But it was, we were 18, 19 years old. And it was just, it was fun. So then we ended up in Red River, and we opened up a little coffee house, and that's where all the musicians, Cherry Jeff, Murphy, everybody came through, and that was how it kind of got going.
Wow, what a story! I love that. I'd not known that part about it. And then, you started writing and getting cuts from all kinds of folks, I guess, and doing your own albums. Didn't you do 16 albums without having an actual record deal?
Yeah, I did. I did. First one was with Warner Brothers back in the 70s somewhere, and it kind of got confused, and they put out the album with the wrong album cover, and there was the mix. We didn't really approve of it. And then after that, it was just all independent until I had the good fortune to do Big Machine, I guess, about 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, that's the co-starring album, is it?
Yes.
That one?
Yeah.
Yes. And you've got all kinds of guests on that. Steve Earle, Wade Bowen, Randy Rogers, Winona, Ringo Starr.
I have a...
Man.
Yeah, what happened was, I guess it was about when that came out, before it came out, about a year before it came out, I got a text from Ringo, and he said, be out in L.A. next Tuesday at 2 o'clock, and I'll play drums on a track. So I had a song on with my wife, so I went out there. We went to his house. It's in Beverly Hills. It's not a real big mansion. It's just cool, but he has a studio there. And so we go in, and it's just Ringo Starr on drums, me on guitar, and Bruce Sugar as engineer, which is really intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
But it was such a thrill, and he was so gracious and so nice. And we finished the track, just me and him, me on guitar and him on drums. He said, who are you going to get to play bass? I said, I really don't know. He said, how about Don Was? I said, I don't know Don Was. He said, well, I'll ask him. He said, who are you going to get to play guitar? I said, I don't really know. He said, I'll ask my brother-in-law, Joe Walsh.
Oh, my goodness.
So at that point, I called up Chris Robinson. And I said, I got a beetle and an eagle. I need a crow. Lo and behold, he said yes. So I had the good fortune to have Joe Walsh, Ringo, Chris Robinson, Don Was do that track with me.
Well, and talk about intimidating. You've done several duets with Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
And I've always really loved his music, but when you talk about intimidating, who could you do a duet with but Willie Nelson?
Well, I tell you what, but I've known Willie seems like forever, and I think I've played more of his 4th of July picnics than anybody else, but I've played the very second one. Missed the first one. I couldn't find it. It was in Dripping Springs, and I didn't know where that was. But I've played all the picnics, and I've known him just for a long, long time. He's just a very gracious guy, and that had the song Stone Blind Horses, and my wife said, you need to get Willie on that. So I called up Willie, and he said yes. So
amazing. Well, I got to tip my hat to you, too, because you and Jude been married 36 years. Is that right?
Yeah, Judy, we've been, she was the door girl at Mother Blues, which was a club in Dallas, kind of a rock club. And I didn't really know her back then. We met about 37 years ago, 38 years ago. And it was just, Mother Blues was just a great club there in Dallas. Lightning Hopkins played there, and all the great big bands like Led Zeppelin, or they would all show up after their gig, and she was the door girl there. I didn't know her back then, but yeah, we met about 15 years after that. But
been together ever since, and that's something to, really be applauded, because that's just not the case for most people. And then don't you have at least one son? Is it Lucas that plays in the band?
Yeah, he's my guitar player, and I tell people that if it wasn't for Judy, I would have everything I own in a shoebox, and I'd be looking for a happy hour gig. she really has taken care of me. She really knows the business and everything. And I tell people too that I sleep with the president of my publishing company, which is Judy. So she says, you write what you want to write and you make the records you want to make. She says, I'll try to sell them. So as a songwriter, that's an incredible place to be. I have this freedom to write about, snake farms or Charlie Musselwhite or anything, And so I feel very fortunate about that.
Well, that actually brings up a question. Your songwriting often weaves in such a rich narrative and characters. Could you talk a little bit about your writing process, your development for your stories?
It's a thing I think I've finally learned that songwriting is inspiration plus craft, where the inspiration is what songwriters call the great aha, where you go, aha, that'll be a good idea for a song. And then the craft is taking that inspiration and finding out whether it's going to be a 12-bar blues or a folk type song or hardcore country, and then so it kind of works both ways, the inspiration plus the craft. And so my process is I'm just kind of always waiting. Like I say, I have that freedom to write about anything, like Charlie Musselwhite or, whatever, and so I feel very fortunate to be.
We're going to take a quick break, just a short pause, and we'll be right back with more of the interview. Stick around.
You know him as your co-host on Stories Round the Table with Hudson and Joni, sharing the heart of country music. But that's just part of the story. Hudson James, with his deep love for the classics, is now bringing his own voice to the scene. He's been pouring his heart into writing and recording his own songs, and you can now find Hudson James's original music on all major streaming platforms. Head on over and give a listen to this fresh voice in country, blending that timeless feel with his own exciting new sound. You can also find out more at hudsonjames.net. Keep your ears open, folks. Hudson's got new country you won't want to miss. You're enjoying the rich stories here on Stories Round the Table with Hudson and Joni, and a big part of that is our co-host, the incomparable Joni Harms. Joni is a master at weaving songs that touch your heart, whether she's writing about cowboys and ranches or crafting powerful ballads like her tribute to Merle Haggard. Praised since signing with Capitol Records, her passion for pure country music shines through every performance. From her rancher's life to global stages, Joni brings a lifetime of experience and song to our table. Learn more about her journey right here on the show.
We're going to take a quick break, just a short pause, and we'll be right back with more of the interview. Stick around.
One of the things that I saw, too, that you said, Ray, was that you like to write songs that can contribute rather than something that you'll just receive. And that touched my heart totally, because Hudson and I both like to write songs and record, and it's just one of the best rewarding feelings when you see somebody in the audience that's, possibly even shedding a tear or comes up afterwards and said, you don't know how that song touched my life or made a difference in my life. And so I am absolutely right beside you on the thing of this being really a God-given gift. And the fact that you can get up there and share something that came from your heart to contribute rather than just being all about, how much money you can make or whatever.
What's the thing, too, is I write these songs not thinking about their future. Does that make, I'm not writing this song to try to get Eric Church to cut it. That just happened. That was just out of a fluke thing. I'm not writing these songs to get a publishing deal. I'm writing these songs to see if I can make someone smile, make someone groove a little bit, maybe make someone happy that has had a bad day. So I'm not writing thinking about the song's future. I'm just writing that song at that moment.
It's not about getting number one on Billboard. It's about reaching that one person out of 50,000 people. And you reach that one person, and it changes their whole life.
Well, it is. It's in what I can, but by writing these songs where I say, well, what can I contribute to this? I
Yep.
get that gratification that's kind of touches the spirit or something. I don't know. It's hard to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it's really about. And, unfortunately, a lot of people lose that frame of mind. They lose that track or whatever it is. And, and it really is about gaining that one person out of that whole audience.
Well, it is. It's just for me. Like I say, I'm an old cat, man. I've been doing this for a while, and it's still such a joy to go on stage and play and see people smile and sing along and groove and get into it. And so, like I say, that's still such joy, you know.
Well, and I noticed, I was looking at your schedule. You've got quite a few shows coming up. Folks are going to be able to come out and see a whole bunch of different places, and that's awesome. And then you've got a book, and then you've got the co-starring album, and you've got that in vinyl as well, don't you?
I believe so. Yeah, we have that in vinyl, and like I say, I just kind of write the songs, record them, and then hand them to Judy, and does what she does with them.
That's pretty wonderful. Well, another thing I noticed too is that, and so many people are tuning into our show and the podcast and saying, can you have, people come on that might be able to give us some guidance in songwriting and everything. And that's one of our favorite things to do. And man, I've been learning from lots of folks still as well. But I thought I saw something that I get ideas obviously from listening and to people, maybe with something they'll say or whatever, but you did a whole lot of reading and went to the library, and your dad and mom were both readers and kind of got you interested in reading books and literature at a young age. Is that right?
Well, my dad was an English teacher, and so when I was real little, he didn't read me the Three Little Pigs. He would read me The Raven or The Charge of the Light Brigade. And he got me into reading, The Three Musketeers and Last of the Mohicans and all these classic books. So that, and I still read a lot, but I'm very, very grateful that, he got me into literature and poetry and then songwriting and all that stuff. But yeah, it's very, very important to me.
So did you actually get some song ideas from reading or hearing some of those books?
Oh yeah, you never know. You'll hear a phrase or just a line or something that will trigger that creative spark within us. Like I'll give you an example. Here, one of my favorite quotes is from Flannery O'Connor, a great writer of Southern Gothic type stuff, and her quote was, "Never second guess inspiration." Whenever you get that aha, don't doubt it. And I'll give you a great example. There's a snake farm down here in New Braunfels, Texas. It's been there for 40 years. It's between Austin and San Antonio. And I've driven by it probably 10,000 times, And one day I drove by and I looked over and I went, ooh, that just sounds nasty. And all of a sudden I went, well, it is. It's a reptile house. I went, a snake farm. It just sounds nasty. Well, it pretty much is. Snake farms. Ooh. So I had that, and I went, whoa. Now, if I could have just doubted that, or never just forgotten it, but all of a sudden I kept singing that. So that was the inspiration.
Oh, man.
Now,
that's a great one.
The craft is, what do I do with this? Which is, I'll make a love song. It's about a man who doesn't like snakes, but he's in love with a woman who works at the snake farm. And then her name would be Ramona. She would like to band the alarm. She would drink malt liquor. And so then after that, it just fell. But that's the great thing, as you know, as a songwriter, never second guess inspiration. Don't doubt it. Like, I could have just blown that off and kept on going. And I sang that for Judy, and she says, "You're not going to record that, are you?" And I said, yeah. And but now T-shirt sales, she loves that song.
Now, when it comes to your songwriting,
Yes.
Maybe this is too personal, but do you have a childhood memory of whatever might have happened that inspired you to write a song?
Well, yes, one of my grandfathers was a horrible banjo player. Just he just kind of thumped on it, you know. And so one of the first songs that I wrote, which was real long time ago, I was in my teens, was called "Muddy Boggy Banjo Man," which because there's a river up southeast Oklahoma called the Muddy Boggy. Well, lo and behold, that my friend Larry Gross recorded that, and it was the flip side on a song called Junk Food Junkie, which was like a novelty song, but it was a 45, and it went to number one. And, you know, nobody ever heard the song unless you flipped over the 45. But that was kind of one of the first songs that I wrote that was kind of autobiographical. My grandfather would, you know, just thump on that banjo, and he wasn't any good, but he enjoyed it, you know. And so I wrote the song Muddy Boggy Banjo Man, Southeastern Oklahoma, you know. So that was kind of one of my childhood memories that, I, you know, turned into a song.
Man, that's a great story too. Well, I think I also, I don't know if you were kind of joking about it, but when Ronnie Dunn called you, I was watching something and hearing that he called you and wanted to talk to you about doing some recording, or I can't remember exactly what it was, but you just said, "Who is it? Who is it?" And he was trying to tell you who it was, and then he said, "Oh, the one in the hat," or something, and it was he said,
Yeah.
"No, the other one." But did you work or do something fun with Ronnie Dunn as well?
Oh yeah, we've written some songs together. We wrote the song together. I'm gonna drink till I see double and take one of you home. And
I know those songs.
he was just a great cat. Now he called me up and he said, "Ray, this is Ronnie Dunn." He said, "Tony Joe White gave me your phone number." I went, "Ronnie Dunn?" He goes, "Yeah, Ronnie Dunn of Brooks and Dunn." So I said, "Are you the one in the hat?" He, and I'm a wonder he didn't hang up on me. But to show you what kind of a cool guy he was, he said, "No, I'm not the one in the hat." And I said, "I know, I was just messing with you." And he said, "Well, I want to know if you want to get together and write some songs." So we wrote I'm gonna drink till I see double. We also wrote "Bad on Fords," which Sammy Hagar cut,
Wow.
which was really because Ronnie, we wrote it and Ronnie tracked it. He sent it to Sammy to play guitar on it. Well, Sammy thought he was pitching it to him, so Sammy cut it, which was really wow. I just went, wow, that's really cool to have Sammy Hagar cut one of my songs.
My goodness, yes, congratulations.
Well, that's one of the thing is writing these songs, not thinking about the future. You know, you kind of write them and then see what happens in the universe with them. You know, it's like the Eric Church thing. Is that was completely out of the blue.
Tell us about that.
Well, I got a phone call, and all of a sudden I go, "Hello," and this voice goes, "Ray, this is Eric Church." And I go, "Yeah." He said, "I want to write a song with you called Desperate Man." So I'm just no smart aleck, right? So I said, one time I was so desperate, I went to a fortune teller to get my future read, and she said I didn't have one. So Eric said, "Okay, that'll be the second verse." So, you know, so he said, "Come up to Nashville." And so I went up there, and he was building some fishing cabin out by this lake. There were bulldozers around and everything. And so we wrote Desperate Man. He had a different groove to it, you know. And so we wrote it, and he said, "I'm going to record this." And he said, "I'm going to name my next album Desperate Man." And then he called me up and said, "Listen, you want to go on tour with me?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd like to do that." He said, "Well, we're going to start off in Toronto and Detroit." And I went, "No, I don't want to do that." I said, "You got any gigs in Texas or Arkansas or Oklahoma?" He said, "Well, I got Arkansas, Dallas, and Austin." I said, "Well, I'll do those."
Oh, way to go.
It's just, you know, I mean, and Detroit, Toronto, I've been up there before, but it's just a long, you know, like I say, I kind of prefer the low-hanging fruit tour. You know what I'm talking about? You
Yeah.
know, just, you know, kind of Austin, Dallas, Nashville, just, you know, I can't get on a ladder to get that Wisconsin thing. But but yeah, so that Eric he's been really, really gracious and nice to me.
Well, we could talk to you and ask you questions all afternoon. This is great. Is there anything? Because dang it, we're almost coming to the end of our time already.
We're getting there.
Wondering if you had anything else you really would like to share with our listeners. Maybe make sure that they know how to get a hold of your products and anything else you want to share.
Well, it's raywiley.com. That's how you could get all the gear, T-shirts, a book, all that stuff. And like I say, we're just going out. We're playing up in Nashville at 3rd and Lindsay. That's always a great, great gig. And going up to Marysville, playing the Harley place. And so, like I say, it's still a joy to go out there and play. And I got my son Lucas, as we mentioned earlier, playing guitar with me. And he's a great guitar player. He just, he's set in with Joe Walsh and Derek O'Brien and Cody Canada when he was like, so he's a good kid. He's the one that, he's just very, very proud of him. He's got his head screwed on straight. Just, you can't beat that.
Oh, congratulations. Good for you and Jude. But
Yeah.
Hudson, did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
I just want to say that I wish we could do this interview for like 5 hours.
Oh.
Your stories, your history, and where you came from is just truly amazing.
Well, is one of the things I would like to say is that I did get clean and sober when I was 41 years old. Stevie Ray Vaughan took the time to come.
I have to interrupt. Clean and sober, but you are friends with Willie. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've actually had to refuse a joint from Willie, which is like turning down the whatever. But I got clean and sober when I was 41. Stevie Ray came and talked to me at 14 months at the time and got me in recovery. And so I'm very, very grateful, got 37 years, But Stevie Ray, and he was very instrumental in getting me coming out of that honky-tonk fog and, get my head screwed on straight. So, yeah, I acknowledge that he got me into recovery, and I'm very, very grateful to him.
Now that you brought that up, and I can't edit this out if you don't want to be want it to be a part of it. But you mentioned, the drinking, whatever your addiction happened to be at the time, right?
Yeah.
When you're in music at that time, and you got caught up in the party stage, one, how easy is it to get into? How easy is it to really get caught up in that whole, hey, I'm somebody famous and there's drugs everywhere? And then how hard is it to get out of it?
Well, it was, like I say, you're very right. It's very easy. You go to these places and all of a sudden you're playing in a bar and all of a sudden you get free drinks, and you go, yeah, and all of a sudden, and when you're young, in your 20s and whatever, it's a fun deal. I mean, it's a great deal, but it got to the point where it wasn't fun anymore. It was, I was at, become powerless over it. And so, and because of, like I say, Stevie Ray, I got into recovery and did what these old salty guys and women said to do, and I recovered, and I'm in recovery, but I recovered at the time, and it was a big decision because I was pretty much a mess, and but I came in and did the work, and I'm very, very grateful.
Well, let me just say you look and sound absolutely great right now, and thank you for sharing that, because that's an important thing for a lot of our listeners to hear, and admire you all the more for that.
I really appreciate that.
I really enjoyed it. You guys take care.
All right,
you too as well. And again, thank you so much for taking out the time out of your busy day, and I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for Stories Round the Table with Hudson and Joni. We hope you enjoyed this glimpse into the heart of these stories. If you loved this episode, please subscribe and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget to connect with us on our website, storiesroundthetable with hudsonandjoni.com. We'll see you next week, ready to share another story.